Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive where we'll be getting into something that's super relevant these days, ethical change management.
Yeah.
We're going to really dig into how doing change the right way,
Right.
not just checking boxes,
Yeah,
can really build trust in your company
absolutely.
and give you an advantage over the competition,
Yeah,
especially in the DACH region.
especially in the DACH region.
So excited to get into all this.
What I find really interesting is how small and medium-sized businesses can benefit from ethical change management.
Yeah.
And we're diving into materials from AllyAllez today,
Okay.
a strategic partner of ACERTARE,
Okay.
who are really kind of leading this approach in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland.
AllyAllez. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're big on the ACMP standard.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that term thrown around, but to be honest, it kind of goes over my head.
Yeah.
Can you break it down?
You're not alone.
Okay.
The ACMP standard is basically a globally recognized framework for planning and implementing changes in a way that makes them last.
Okay.
It's like having a detailed roadmap to navigate all those bumpy transitions.
So instead of just reacting to change, there's a more strategic way to handle it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the ACMP standard gives you that structure.
Okay.
So it's about minimizing risks,
Okay.
always looking for ways to improve, and staying laser focused on your company's goals.
Okay.
Strategic goals.
So long-term vision.
Long-term vision, exactly.
Okay.
AllyAllez even talks about preventing organizational Alzheimer's.
Organizational Alzheimer's.
With this approach.
Now, that's an image that sticks with you.
It does.
Right.
It's about avoiding that knowledge drain.
Right.
That happens when employees leave.
Yeah.
Especially those long-term employees.
Yeah.
Who hold so much experience in their heads.
Yeah, it's all up here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So by using the ACMP standard, you're essentially baking that knowledge into the company's
processes and procedures.
Yeah. So it doesn't walk out the door when someone retires or moves on.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world, you know?
Yeah, where that experience is so valuable.
Where experience is gold.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how does ACERTARE fit into all of this?
So ACERTARE offers a specific certification program based on the ACMP standard. And this is where it gets really practical for KMUs.
Okay.
Especially those facing, big shifts like restructuring, crisis management, or just pushing their teams to be more innovative and collaborative.
I can see how having that framework would be a lifesaver in those situations.
Especially in those situations.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the ethical part.
Yeah.
What makes this approach stand out?
What makes it stand out?
Yeah.
So AllyAllez and ACERTARE place a huge emphasis on trust and participation.
Okay.
They understand that change is messy. It involves people, their fears, their ideas, their perspectives. It's not just about imposing top-down decisions, but creating a process where everyone feels heard and respected.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's about bringing people along. On the journey.
Yeah.
Rather than forcing them down a path.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that approach can really minimize resistance and actually build a culture where people are more open to change and even excited about it.
Okay.
Think about the long-term benefits. You get more adaptable teams, less pushback. Ultimately, people are more engaged in their work.
It sounds like a win-win.
Win-win.
But how do you translate these principles into action?
Right.
It's all well and good to talk about ethics.
Yeah.
But how do you actually implement ethical change on the ground?
That's where the DOIT change model comes in.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a framework developed by AllyAllez and ACERTARE to help you put these ideas into practice. The acronym DOIT stands for Discover, Observe, Ideate, and Transform.
I like where this is going.
Okay, good.
Break down those steps for me.
Okay, so in the Discover phase, you're laying the groundwork. It's about understanding why change is necessary, what the potential benefits are, and what might happen if you don't manage it well. You're getting everyone on board with the idea that change is essential.
So setting the stage.
Setting the stage,
Making sure everyone understands the why.
The why, exactly.
Behind the change.
Yeah. Okay. Then you move into the observe phase, which is all about self-reflection. So how do you personally react to change? What are your strengths and weaknesses in navigating transitions? It's about developing those change competencies within yourself and your team.
So it's personal growth?
Personal growth alongside organization.
Alongside, yeah.
Exactly. It's a two-way street.
I like that.
Yeah. And once you've laid that foundation, you move to ideate. Where you brainstorm strategies and come up with specific measures to implement the change.
So getting into the nuts and bolts.
Nuts and bolts of how you'll make it happen.
Okay, what's the final stage?
The transform phase is where the rubber meets the road.
Okay.
You're putting those plans into motion, creating a clear roadmap, focusing on making that change stick for the long haul.
It's a great way to break down a complex process.
A complex process into bite-sized pieces.
Yeah. And I can see how this framework would be incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
Especially for leaders trying to guide their teams through a major shift.
Absolutely. Having that structure can provide much-needed clarity. And direction during times that can feel quite chaotic.
Now we've covered the ACMP standard, the ACERTARE certification, the focus on ethics, and this practical DOIT change model. What's the big takeaway here?
The big takeaway?
Yeah, what are the advantages for organizations that embrace all of this?
One of the biggest advantages is sustainability. It's not just about surviving a single change initiative. It's about embedding these new ways of working into the company culture. So they stick for the long term.
That's a huge point.
It is.
So many companies go through these massive restructuring efforts, and then things just slide back.
Into the old ways.
Into the old ways, exactly. And that's where this approach is different. It's not a quick fix. It's a fundamental shift in how the organization tackles change.
So it's cultural.
Cultural, exactly. Another key advantage is stakeholder integration. This means involving everyone who's affected by the change. Early on in the process, it's not just about telling people what's going to happen, but actively listening to their concerns, incorporating their feedback.
Which, again, builds trust.
Gets people on board with the change. And finally, it's about strategic alignment. The changes you make should be directly linked to the company's overall goals.
So it's not just change for change's sake.
Not just change for change's sake.
But it's targeted. Purposeful.
Purposeful, exactly.
So making sure every change moves the organization in the right direction. I can see how this combined approach, sustainability, stakeholder integration, strategic alignment, could lead to a much smoother transition.
Absolutely.
Better outcomes overall.
And don't forget about the increased buy-in that you get from the team.
When they feel like they're part of the process.
Absolutely. Now, I understand that AllyAllez also offers specific training, especially in-house programs for teams of 6 or more. What makes their approach unique?
Their in-house certification training is really clever because it combines professional development with team building. They blend intensive 2-day on-site sessions with follow-up sessions remotely. It's not just about cramming information into people's heads, but giving them a space to apply what they're learning and really make it stick.
That sounds much more engaging. And effective than just sitting through lectures.
Absolutely. And they specifically use the ethical ACERTARE DOIT model. So participants learn how to discover, observe, ideate, and transform within their own team and organizational context.
So that real-world application? Makes all the difference.
They actually build real projects into the training. So participants tackle actual challenges their team is facing, which gives them immediate practical experience.
I'm curious, how does this training directly impact team performance?
So they use specific change topics as learning opportunities. So let's say a team struggled with implementing a new software system. They can use that as a case study during the training.
So it's about learning from past experiences? Both the successes and the failures.
Exactly. Employees can analyze what worked well, what could have been done differently, and how to apply those lessons to future changes.
That fosters a sense of shared learning. And growth. Which is so valuable for a team.
Incredibly valuable. And because it's tied to a certification, employees gain valuable credentials that can boost their career prospects.
It sounds like AllyAllez has really thought through
They have.
how to make this training as impactful as possible.
As impactful as possible.
Yeah.
There's another layer here that's worth noting.
Okay.
By focusing on real projects and continuous learning, they're fostering a culture of lifelong learning.
That's a powerful concept.
It is.
What does that look like in practice?
Employees start to see that their individual development, their commitment to learning and adapting directly contributes to the company's success.
So it creates a cycle.
It does.
Where the more people invest in themselves, the better the company performs.
The better the company performs.
Which then motivates them to keep learning and growing.
Exactly. And that type of culture is incredibly valuable.
Especially in today's
rapidly changing business environment.
Rapidly changing environment, yeah.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about the training and its impact on teams.
Yes.
Now, I'd love to dig a little deeper into how AllyAllez helps organizations actually implement the globally recognized ACMP standard.
Okay, so remember, the ACMP standard for change management is that collection of best practices we discussed earlier.
Right.
It came out in 2014.
Okay.
And has become the foundation for the entire change management profession.
Okay.
It provides a structured, methodical approach to managing what they call the human side of change.
Okay.
And that's where AllyAllez steps in.
So they act as a bridge between the standard and the organization.
Exactly. They're the experts who guide companies in putting those best practices into action.
And they're not just talking the talk.
They're not just talking the talk.
Yeah.
Through their strategic partnership with ACERTARE, they're a qualified education provider, or QEP. That means they're authorized to offer ACMP accredited training programs.
That's a significant seal of approval.
It is. And here's another bonus for individuals.
Okay.
These certification trainings meet the requirements for the Certified Change Management Professional CCMP certificate.
CCMP certificate.
So leaders and change managers who go through these programs earn credentials that demonstrate their expertise and commitment to ethical, effective change management.
So it's beneficial for the organization as a whole. And a great investment in the professional development of individuals.
It's a win-win on multiple levels.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm really curious to hear more about the people behind the ACMP DACH chapter. Who are some of the key figures driving this movement towards ethical change management in the region?
Well, one of the most influential leaders is Connie Reber.
Connie Reber.
The first chairperson of the ACMP DACH chapter. Her expertise as a business analyst, specializing in change processes, is incredibly valuable.
What's her specific approach?
Her specific approach.
To change management.
She's a strong advocate for fostering a culture of trust. Especially when you have multiple stakeholders with different perspectives and needs, which is so common in change situations.
That sounds absolutely crucial.
It is.
When you're dealing with those complex organizational changes,
absolutely,
they can really shake things up.
That can really shake things up.
Yeah.
For her work with AllyAllez, offering those change management certifications we discussed, shows her practical commitment to these principles.
She's walking the talk.
Walking the talk.
Not just talking about it.
Not just talking about it.
Who else is shaping this movement?
Another key figure is Gerald Kimmel, the second chairman and treasurer of the ACMP DACH chapter. He brings a wealth of experience from his leadership roles in consulting, particularly in implementing manufacturing and administrative processes for global clients.
And what are some of his main areas of focus within the chapter?
He's really passionate about co-entrepreneurship, employee development, and building a strong feedback culture.
Those are all essential ingredients for a healthy and adaptable organization.
And then there's Michael Babylon Tubenbacker, who serves on the extended board of the ACMP DACH chapter.
What's his background?
He has over 2 decades of experience advising clients across various industries on transformation and change projects.
He's a veteran in the field.
He is a veteran.
What's his specialty?
His expertise lies in organizational development and strategic implementation. He's also a lecturer on change management at IMC CREMS.
Wow.
And an EFQM assessor.
It sounds like the ACMP DACH chapter has assembled.
They have.
An incredibly impressive team of leaders.
An impressive team of leaders.
Yeah.
And it's clear that they're deeply committed to promoting ethical and effective change management practices throughout the DACH region.
And that feels like a great place to pause for now.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
In this first part.
We have a lot more to come.
Of our deep dive.
Yes, we do.
So much more to explore.
Absolutely.
But we'll get to that next time.
Next time.
See you then.
See you then.
As we've been talking about the ACMP DACH chapter and its leadership, it really strikes me how vital their work is.
Yes.
Especially right now.
Absolutely.
You know,
the business world is constantly changing.
Yeah.
And having a solid grasp of ethical change management isn't optional anymore.
Right.
It's essential.
It's like future-proofing your organization.
It is future-proofing.
Right. Giving your leaders and your teams the skills and mindset.
The skills and mindset?
To handle whatever comes their way.
Whatever comes their way, yeah. And this focus on KMUs is so important.
Yeah.
Smaller and medium-sized enterprises are often the backbone of the economy.
Right.
But they can be hit hard by the challenges of change.
I can imagine they don't always have the same resources as bigger companies to dedicate to change management.
That's often true.
Yeah.
But what's great about the ACERTARE certification and the DOIT change model is that they can work for organizations of any size.
Right.
You don't need a huge budget.
Yeah.
You need the right approach.
So it's more about mindset.
Mindset than money.
Exactly. And that's where the ethical piece comes in.
Okay.
When you approach change with integrity, transparency, and genuine care for your employees, you build trust that can see you through even the toughest situations.
So it's about seeing change not as a threat.
Right, but it's a chance to grow.
A chance to grow.
And innovate.
And innovate, yeah.
Before we move on, I wanted to circle back to that idea of organizational Alzheimer's.
Yes. It's a powerful way to describe the risk of losing crucial knowledge when employees leave a company.
It really is. And in a world where knowledge is power, that kind of loss can be devastating.
Absolutely.
For a company.
But the ACMP standard and the ACERTARE certification give you a way to systematically embed knowledge and best practices into the very fabric of the organization.
So it's not just about hoping.
Right.
Individuals retain that knowledge.
Yeah.
It's about creating systems and processes.
Systems and processes.
That preserve it.
Preserve it.
And transfer it effectively.
Transfer it effectively. You got it.
Okay.
And that's one of the most valuable aspects of this approach. It's about building a culture of learning.
Right.
And continuous improvement. Yep. Where knowledge is shared.
Okay.
Documented.
Okay.
And passed on.
Okay.
Which makes the organization more resilient.
Right.
And adaptable over time.
And that brings us to the heart.
Yeah.
Of what we've been exploring today. Ethical change management isn't just a set of tools.
Right.
Or a checklist.
It is a whole philosophy.
It's a whole philosophy.
A way of leading.
Yeah.
That puts people at the center.
Well said.
Thank you.
It's about creating a workplace.
Yeah.
Where people feel valued.
Valued.
Heard.
And empowered.
Empowered.
To do their best work.
To do their best work.
Even when things are changing around them.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, that's what drives sustainable success.
Yeah.
For both the company and the individual.
For both.
Who make it thrive.
Who make it thrive. Okay.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive
into
ethical change management, let's bring it back to you, the listener.
Yeah.
We've explored a lot of concepts.
The ACMP standard, the ACERTARE certification, the DOIT change model.
Right.
But what's the key takeaway you should walk away with?
We've talked about the benefits, like increased buy-in, smoother transitions, even preventing that organizational Alzheimer's.
Right.
But what's the core message?
The core message is this ethical change management isn't just a set of tools.
Okay.
It's an ethical responsibility.
Okay.
And it leads to real benefits.
Yeah.
For both the company and its people.
Okay, so we know it's important.
Yeah.
And it has tangible benefits.
Tangible benefits.
But what's the next step?
Yeah.
What can our listeners do to put these ideas into action?
Here's a question to consider.
Okay.
How can you, as a leader, weave ethical considerations into your change management processes starting today?
Okay.
It's easy to get caught up in the logistics of change.
Right.
And forget about the human impact.
That's a great challenge.
Yeah.
What are some concrete steps the listeners can take to build trust?
To build trust.
And make sure everyone feels included.
Think about actively seeking diverse perspectives.
Okay.
Before making decisions or creating spaces for open and honest conversations about the changes that are happening.
Those are great starting points.
Yeah.
And remember, AllyAllez is a fantastic resource, especially for those in the DACH region.
Especially in the DACH region.
Their website has tons of information on upcoming training sessions. And the ACERTARE certification program.
It's a great way to learn more and equip yourself with the skills to lead change with integrity.
So as we conclude this deep dive, here's the final question for you.
Okay.
Are you ready to future-proof your organization and lead change with integrity?
That's a powerful call to action.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
You know, we've been talking about how crucial it is to approach change ethically.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of leaders, the big question is, where do I even begin?
Right. It's understandable to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Change is inherently complex.
Yeah.
And weaving in those ethical considerations adds another layer.
Yeah.
But doesn't have to be daunting.
So where would you recommend someone start
if
they want to bring more of an ethical focus to how they handle change in their organization?
One of the most powerful things you can do is shift your perspective.
Shift your perspective. Okay.
Instead of viewing change as something you do to your organization, try to see it as something you do with your people.
That's a subtle but important distinction.
It really is.
Yeah.
When you approach change as a collaborative process, you naturally start to think about things like transparency, communication, and empathy.
Yeah.
It's about bringing people along on the journey.
Yeah.
Not just dictating the destination.
Okay.
Think about it this way.
Okay.
If you're asking people to embrace change,
yeah,
you owe them a clear explanation of why it's necessary.
Right.
Be honest about the challenges, the potential risks, and the expected benefits.
So transparency is key.
Transparency is key.
Okay.
People are more likely to accept change when they understand the rationale behind it.
The why.
The why, exactly. And don't underestimate the power of simply listening to your team's concerns, ideas.
Right. It's about making people feel heard and valued.
Heard and valued.
Even when things are uncertain.
Precisely. And remember, change often brings up a lot of emotions.
Oh, yeah.
People might feel anxious, confused, even resistant.
For sure.
Acknowledging those feelings and creating a safe space for open dialogue can go a long way in building trust and easing the transition.
So it's about leading with empathy.
Empathy and understanding.
And understand, exactly. And here's another practical tip.
Okay.
Involve people in the change process as early as possible. Give them opportunities to contribute their ideas and perspectives.
So it's about empowering people.
Empowering people.
To be part of the solution.
Part of the solution.
Not just recipients of the change.
Not just recipients. And when you do that, something magical happens.
Okay.
People start to feel a sense of ownership over the change.
Okay.
They're not just following orders.
Yeah.
They're actively shaping the future of the organization.
And that's a powerful motivator.
It is a powerful motivator.
Yeah.
It leads to a much smoother and more successful change process overall.
Now, as we wrap up our deep dive,
okay,
I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
We've explored the ACMP standard, the ACERTARE certification, the DOIT change model.
Yeah.
Practical tips
for ethical change leadership. But ultimately it boils down to this.
Yeah.
Ethical change management is about doing the right thing.
Doing the right thing.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it takes more time.
Yeah.
Even when it requires us to challenge our own assumptions.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
It's about leading with integrity.
Integrity.
Empathy.
Empathy.
And a deep commitment to the well-being of our people and our organizations.
I hope our people and our organizations.
And when we do that, we create a ripple effect.
A ripple effect.
That extends far beyond the immediate change initiative.
Absolutely.
We create a more human. More sustainable. And ultimately more successful future.
A more successful future.
For everyone.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
I hope you gained some valuable insights. And feel inspired to lead change with integrity.
And be sure to check out AllyAllez's website for more resources and information on their training programs.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.
And keep leading with heart.
AllyAllez.